So hi everyone and welcome to Ibi Speaks. My name is Ibinabo Enebi, and today I will be talking about if you don't understand it, you can't monetize it. My special guest is experienced in initiating and managing highly successful events. He's a consummate professional with qualifications from the New York Film Academy at St. Catherine's College, Oxford University, and the Universal Studios in Hollywood, California. He is a graduate of theater arts from the University of Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Nigeria. He is the director and creative director of the Seki dance drama and is currently the DG and CEO of the Rivers State Tourism Development Agency. He is Mr. Yibo Koko. Peeps.
All that one for me, eh?
It is. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You're doing a good job.
It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it is for me to see you as well. Virtually the close contact.
Yips, I know that you had to. I mean, this was a very tight schedule for you because it's a mother's birthday today and you had to come. Thank you. So thank you. So welcome to Ibi Speaks, and to all those of us watching us today, I want to say a huge thank you. I'm highly appreciative. And if you're watching today and if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Ibinabo Enebi. So thank you. Yips, that's what I call you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're doing a lot in the creative space. You know, you were the executive director and the producer, creative director of Nigeria's Got Talent franchise. What's the creative atmosphere in Nigeria like?
Right now, it's they all get, we're beginning to understand. We not everyone's young at heart, but again, young people are geared to wanting to express themselves as much as they can because it is a channel but which you could do a whole lot that is inside of you. So you have a lot of them from the like these things that have been everybody's working. The visual practitioners, those that are writing, those that are dancing, performing on stage, behind the scenes, just creating things. A whole lot is happening, and the Nigerian creative space, or rather even the African creative space, has a deep telescopic lens, for people to see what is in Africa. It's still virgin, it's still original. And everyone is trying to be on that deck, to express themselves. So individually, in some kind of cluster groups, they are trying, we are trying, but the bigger picture is how is the system aware of these things that are being done, that people are trying to be better through the arts.
So Yips, we're going to talk about this on two levels. We're going to talk about the system of creating an awareness and also on the individual level as well. In the past, I just wanted to throw this in the past, when we look at creative people, we saw them as somewhat unserious. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So the impression that we had, the impression that we had about artists, like if you had someone that was painting, it was like, it was one that was an Indian hemp smoker with ishi dada, never do well and all of that. And for me, that is, a clear, it's a contrast from what you're saying to us now.
Yeah, he who laughs last laughs the best. So so we're laughing now. And
I'm laughing because at the time, you're laughing now, but at the time, they didn't give a very good impression.
Yeah, well, but I paid my fees myself in Uniport. So let me let you know that now, because they wanted me to study law. Beyond law, it tickled me to be a pilot or an aeronautic engineer, so to speak. But physics, maths, and chemistry were a bit alien to me. Most I don't get brain for those two. Then you know, like you had a choice. It's either you were in the arts or you were in the sciences. And then even for the arts, you just needed a pass in maths. Not be like now where you could get credit. Then you needed a pass in maths. But beyond that, you know, they said vision is the art of seeing things invisible. I didn't dabble into theater. I didn't dabble into the creative space. I always knew that this was what God has designed me for, you know, because I had seen productions I remember in 1982 when I was in Uniport. When I was in Okika Grammar School, when I saw Olaro Timi's The Gods Are Not to Blame. In that same 1982, Lakeside Band, you know, came to
Yeah, they came, yeah.
Yeah, FB Hall, I was there. And, you know, remarkably, then old school jams in the 80s, late 70s and the early 80s, you know, and then I was seeing them, like I was seeing Americans, you know, I'd aspired to do, because there's no business like show business, as they always said. And then for those of us who wanted to be in that business, we were like never do-wells, charlatans, you know, I've never smoked in my life. I've never taken alcohol. I'm not saying that those that have done that, you know, are like that. But even when I no smoke or drink, you know, you still had to connect me to state in your own little way that, you know, I was crazy or I wasn't, you know, even the NYSC, I remember in camp, they would announce they have, let's say 1,000 coppers here, of which have medical, we have doctors, lawyers, engineers, and, you know, 406 others. So for your 4 years in university, you fell into the category of others. You know, you were not particularly, you know, chosen to be called as the individual that was a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, but you just became others. So, but it has evolved, you know, because while infrastructure and way of life is a bit suspicious in terms of managing it from leadership perspective, the individuals have grown. Okay, so let's use Burna Boy now. He epitomizes the growth of the young people that have gone into music. And in 2012, 2011, and 2010, you know, in Port Harcourt, Burna Boy was still wanting to be, you know, what he desired to become. But here in Port Harcourt then, you know, they were not ready, the system was not ready. And, you know, the art is always a feel-good space. And he wanted so much to be on stage. And look at that today. He's won a Grammy, and Grammy is more like the zenith, you know, of any musician's desire to become what or who he wants to become. So he's gotten that. And that is key because they understand the intellectual property that is worthy of the music of Burna Boy or that of Davido or Timaya or Whiskey, Tiwa Savage, and co. Because then they don't have brick and mortar in terms of structure, you know, that's collateral. Oh, he has a hotel, he has a building, he has a school, right? But with his credit card and with his download history, which was the digital track record of what he does, you know, then they know how to monetize that. So he could go to a shop and negotiate to build something. He could buy off-track Lamborghini or Rolls, depending on what he wants, because the viability and the sustainability, and of course, all of the potentials of what his intellectual property portends shows that you can monetize whatever it is that he has put out there, you know, because it is the standard that is all over. And in that conformity, that is the money. And if Burna Boy is a drop of water, if Davido is a drop of water, if Whiskey is a drop of water, where's the water itself? So the water is all around us. It's a huge ocean. with a whole lot of people in that space. But because we're not getting the system understanding that it is the new oil, it can sustain peace, it's for security, but again, it is for growth, it is for development, it is to have enough in your pocket. So from the buluwakebo, as we know from our place, the man who does the fishing net, to the lady who fries akara, to the man who does skumbia and bole, to the person who sews our etibo, it's all over.
So the buzzword in the stratosphere today is the creative economy.
Yeah.
You know, and you've been talking about it. You were on the Pastor Ichwa Godala's leadership forum, I think 2 weeks ago. You talked about it. I was there. I listened to you. I was blown away. And recently you had a conversation with the American Embassy. They wanted to understand the concept of the creative economy. And that is what you were touching on. You were talking about, like the download history, the digital power that Burna Boy has and all the other people have. So to the person who is just listening to me, what is the concept of the creative economy?
It's for wealth creation, and of course for peace and security. That's it. I mean, it's as simple as that. They say an idle brain is the devil's amusement park. That's my own coinage, not workshop. It's an amusement park. Look at it. Scattered, yeah. So I had a conversation with the U.S. consulate, and that was on Thursday. Yeah, it was Wednesday, but some few days ago, Wednesday, yeah. And same thing. And we had about almost 3 hours conversation. And it was also understanding, that I've been on this conversation. Some people will always say, oh, they talk too much, they like to talk, they show. For me to show, that's intellectual property. Yeah.
But you may have to speak a bit louder. I can't hear you.
I say for me to show, some people will say, he likes to talk, it's always there. Oh, creative economy, blah, 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 show working, like I practice what I preach. I'm paying my dues. I'm living my life with what I have, right? But if you want me to now break down the creative economy in terms of ABC, that is intellectual property, right? But all I can do is give an overview of what and how you can tap into it. And collaboration is key. We don't need to compete all the time. You can compete with yourself. You can challenge yourself to be better. But you need to collaborate with people for you to grow. So you could be a dancer, you're not a drummer. So even if the technology allows that, you can pre-record the drum and perform it, but it's also a blend when there's a live performance, as also there's a performance when it is what do you call it? When you only just a
cappella.
No, not that. When you mime, you know. So, but when there is a cluster, when there is a gathering, I know that with the COVID now, we're doing this now virtually. But see, collaboration is key, because once you collaborate, when you are a performer, then you're collaborating with someone who knows the economic viability of stretching you, as long as they understand what you say. So there is something to show that from the performance level, there's the administrative level, there is the bankable level, there is the finance level. So all of these things are all encompassing. So who are the people internationally or locally that we have? Look at your kids, right? So we have an average 16, 17, not with the time all of us enter university. At the average age of 20, 21, you're a graduate. When you go to school in a system that is very thorough with how they want you to understand the world, because it's always about, it's futuristic, it's strategic, they do feasibility studies and they make you understand, like, in 4 or 5 years, not just they give you those statistics and you grow that. So the average child who went to school at 16 or 17 is a graduate at 20 or 21. Most times when you're out, your parents wouldn't let you come in straight for you to do your youth service, isn't it? So you continue to do your master's. you get your second master. So by the age of 24, you have your first degree and 2 masters. And the way the system there works is that even while you're working, you're learning, you get into doing your IT or some things with reputable firms, depending on your grade. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I am. I can hear you.
Okay, depending on your grades. And all of those young people, are they in the system? Even when they do youth service, are they here? I look at them, are they in this country? No, they're not. Right? So if someone like you or Davido or Burna Boy, understanding that their contemporaries get masters, or all of them now they play around, they do this. You see that these guys, when you check their accounts with what they know in the contemporary world, they're not Yahoo. It's a digital age. So if you get up to 50, 30, $100 million, or let me just say that, in your account balance, right? Because then they deal with building hotel, but dealing with intellectual properties and dealing with content where they grow their wealth. So we do not understand that. Okay, let me just go off hook a little bit. I remember when I was in school in LA, right? And I had an issue and we dialed 911. And it was a health-related issue. So 911, nobody just to call police. They sent the paramedics. Ibi. The paramedics will come. My sister, let me speak to you a bit. These guys were like, I'm not exaggerating, but like, look, me, I know say I did like this, but these guys were like 6 foot, minimum 6'2". They were like 3, 4, 5. Men. And these men, they called me aside to know what was happening. But these guys knew, even before the doctors came, they knew what to do. They came with the fire service, they came with... Now imagine a system. Our fire service in this country, in our civil service mindset. Imagine this country, they're like this. What will be our first, when they call our first reaction, was that
first
in terms
response.
of response? Have we trained people? Imagine part of youth service all over the country is what the government decides to do. Work with international corporations that can send us up-to-date stuff in terms of, I know everybody where country go, Yibo man country, they want to become a nurse because that's the only place where money dey, right? Don't we have that time when we were young, school of midwifery, school of nursing, then you had a lot of young, fine with their cotton and butter shoes, all the good-looking nurses. I remember when I was small, everybody wanted to aspire to become a nurse because almost all the good-looking people then, now nurse, then they go. You want 6 self, make nurse look you.
That was you.
Yeah, well, no, wait, I gotta tell you. What I'm trying to say is, if you don't make it interesting, yes, you never tell me, say, are you telling me that you got the way you said it, but just form headache just for
to see a fine doctor, right?
You know what I'm saying? But again, these are the issues in terms of how, so it might be small like that, but just imagine when the system can employ millions of people in that first respondent level, do small training, let them be like small combat ready, then Sabi, the doctors know what to do. First of all, if anybody else in Ireland where you are, anything that happens, the guys that come with, even the driver knows what to do before they decide there and then if it's an emergency for you to go to the hospital or they can deal with that there. These are the little things that can engage a lot of people. And right now, the creative space is the simplest form of our first response. What did you call again? First response.
First response.
Yes. So they are responding to the needs that it is a space. So I keep saying again before the thing I've just talked about. Okay, what's NSAS? NSAS is simple. Everybody can go, depending on how you want to look at it. When it comes to jollof rice, I've said this before. How do we defend the Nigerian jollof rice? With pride. we can defend Nigerian jollof rice. He never chop Mama Ngozi jollof rice. Never chop Mama Sibi jollof rice. Have you chop Haruna's mother jollof rice? Because jollof rice in Nigeria is authentic. It's the highest food in any party when you get jollof rice, fried rice, and then work. So there's a pride in that. And in the creative space, again, I repeat, we always say, Burna Boy, Tiwa Savage, Whiskey, no matter how you want to call every other person, you're proud of that wherever you are. At that time, like sports, when playing Super Eagles, nobody knows Hausa, nobody knows Fulani, nobody knows Igbo, nobody knows Yoruba. When I won Nigeria, that moment, right? So yes. when you lose it, and the guys who have done 2 years second masters, but they're still in London or in Scotland and Ireland, working in Primark or working in Zara or working in any of those shops as sales girls. Okay, yeah, there's dignity in labor because it pays, the system works anyway. So even if you make $400 or whatever you make, euros or pounds, you can pay your bills and that. But the key thing is, why are they not in our system? They're out there in that system because after jollof rice and the creative space, understanding our art forms, they can't defend the epileptic nature of our power system. They cannot defend the bad, I don't know how to use the adjective to qualify how our health system is not working. They cannot defend how other things in terms of infrastructure does not exist in our system. And because they do not understand that, it ends us. So that part epitomizes all. And why did they have, it was civil disobedience, I remember, it was civil disobedience. No is not a negative word. Ibi, come and smoke Igbo. No, I need to smoke. No. Hey, take coke. No, I need to smoke. And no is not a negative word. It becomes positive, isn't it? Yeah. So it goes back again. So let us slide back into which is the creative space. For whatever it is worth, the key thing to all of this is that we have to understand first of all, what is our asset? Is it an asset? So once you understand that first, you have to understand it from the individual or to the government. To the right system, now, yeah. Anybody who is doing well, like Burna Boy, like Tiwa Savage, like Whiskey, they understand it. Okay. They understand it very well. And because they understand it, they have collaborators. Okay. That makes it work for them.
Okay. So what I want to understand, let me say what I hear you say, that the creative economy is an economy of collaboration of talents. So I want to use your Nigeria Got Talent show, for example, yeah. Right? So we have the performers, mm-hmm. We have the set designers, for example, yeah. We have the craft people, we have the judges, we have the audience, yeah. We have those that sponsor. So it's all part of taking something that is natural, that's an innate ability, and then creating a machinery that provides a system of employment within the digital space.
Yeah, it's all encompassing. So let me use that. It's all not just the talent. Yeah, it's all encompassing. Insurance people, the banks are all involved. The telcos.
So that's the economy.
Yeah. The telcos are all involved. What's happening here now? We are burning data, isn't it? So yes. The data money goes to the telcos. That's it. So okay. By the time you understand that, so if the banks understand that, because the banks understand collateral, structure, brick and mortar, right? But once they begin to understand it from the intellectual perspective, That's another game. And we have to make them understand that by the way with which we break down the monetization processes. That's why I say it's my own intellectual property. But how do you make that? Is when you get another set of people who understand how to break it down for you, the way the banks will understand it, the way the finance people will understand it, you know. And these things are not like it's a loan. No. It's a collaborative venture that shows the monetization and due process of how to grow wealth with what you have. So when you use the Nigeria's Got Talent show as an example, or the talent show, either it's voice or it's, what do you call it? Whatever it is, the key thing is this. When the judges are seated and the content people pick those who are going to be in front of the judges, for that seeming moment of whether you're so very good for you to go or you're so very bad to still go. Because once you're very bad, right, incongruity steps in because you believe you're very good. Well, Shakespeare said the eye sees not itself, isn't it? But because you're very good to you, but we know that you're very bad, and your assurance of being good is also content, you know, for people to stay glued to the TV, isn't it? So when you come as very good, and in your very good nature, the judges watch you and you have like 4 yeses, or you get the golden buzzer. And once you get the golden buzzer, when you get the golden buzzer, that means you're on to the next level. And if you go to the next level, what happens? It means that the next time you're coming up again, your talents have been discovered. And for the sake of the show, they bring the makeup artist, who is also going to grow income from there. They're going to bring the costumier, who is going to grow income from there. They're going to bring the light designer, who decides that this is how it's going to look like in terms of mood, right? They're going to bring the set designer, who is going to make the place look spectacular. It's going to bring the trainer. So from your raw talents becomes the part with which you now propel, but it still, you know, trickles down, cascades into all of the elements that come in. And they also have an insurance, you know, they have emergency in case there's something wrong, fire, the show is insured. So it's if you do not see it from that perspective, you do not understand it from that perspective, then you can't monetize it. Because it's a feel-good thing. Oh, come and dance, we just dance. You know, when you finish, they give you Coke and Sprite with meat pie or sausage roll, maybe fried rice or jollof rice. Your show is good.
So it goes beyond that. So what you're telling me that it's a production. So it goes beyond that dancing, and when somebody is coming, you dance and all of that. So it goes beyond that. Now, there's another question I want to ask you. You are the you're the director and CEO of the River State Tourism and Development Agency. Now, you've just explained to us what the private sector is doing in monetizing talent. So what is the government doing to put a system in place to monetize the talents of the young people?
Okay, so I'm quick to say this. Who is government? Government and me and
you.
And
right? I.
Okay. So, but we also have leadership, you know, so we have the governor, we have cabinets and all of those things. But first of all, having me here was because of what I was doing in the private sector and what the Seki brand, you know, portends and the spectacle of Seki. So let us use Seki dance drama as the foundation laying ceremony of your answer. So Seki is a series of dances from the whole of the Old River State or the Niger Delta region, specifically Old River State, which is Rivers and Bayelsa,
yeah.
Ejo, and okay, so most of the dances are our traditional dances The stories handed over to us by oral tradition. We only just use what we have learned in the university to tell the story differently. Then the only thing that we have done again is beyond the performance at the Chiriogbo or the market squares, which is the traditional theater, we have now had to conform to contemporary theater, which is more like Broadway, right? All of the elements that will make the show spectacular, from the market square to the contemporary theater, is what we have been able to do and to achieve. Then going forward, international media, CNN, BBC, the China Global Television Network, all of them saw that and joined in the Q&A and put it out there for people to see. So all of a sudden, it's no more the market square dance in the village for the fun, but it is something that is unique, something that is original, something that is spectacular. Now, because we're going somewhere, we have used the platform of the spectacular nature of the dance to attract people, to attract conversation, to attract you now to come, isn't it? Now, the key thing is, Seki is just, let me quote myself again, it's just a drop of all of the Sekis that are in the states and the neighboring states and the region, right? Now, the same thing about after they get your first performance as an original content or what you have as a talent, then every other person begins to come into party. So what we have done is we have 23 LGAs in River State. We have 26 ethnic groups in River State. Now, one of the things coming on board is, minus the COVID, what has been understood as tourism or art in River State is the carnival. Once there's a carnival, everybody's on the roads, just making merry. I mean, having fun, that people are coming to the state or everybody's coming to watch, you know, with a party. After that, everybody goes home. Now, government brings money for you to do that. And after 1-2 years, you never even get money for yourself to run the thing yourself, because you always want to do the groove, because it is also a platform for the young talents to come on stage to perform, for people to see them. So we're not saying that, look, we came on board, the COVID struck, and we had to put, after seeing the document of how the agency was put in place, we had to look at the Gazette, you know, and understand what the tourism agency was all about. Our job is to grow tourism and culture in River State in its entirety. So we now began to do collaboration, get the people whose job it is to put into perspective the monetization processes of all of the assets that we have in the states. Now, do the people in the state understand the assets? So we go back. So we now go back into domestic tourism, making them understand that everything in your community, especially if it is a warm, embracing hand of hospitality, is tourism and culture. Now, once we have begun that narrative, how do we get the people to know that this is what you can do, for everybody to understand that we can work together? So you go back about security challenges, like I've seen you put up in view of security. Look, I've told you before, you went to Uniport with me, and I say this all the time. For you to do a show in school, you had the Vikings, you had the Mafia, you had the Buccaneers, the pirates were there even when they claimed they were not there. But they were all called members, fraternities that either they said they were doing good or doing bad, whatever it was, we knew that they were there. You do a show without telling them. Somebody will just come and throw a bottle during the show, and then there's a stampede. You lose all your money. So for you to do a good show, what do? You take a drink and you go and meet the Viking person who is the capo to the capi, we're doing this, you negotiate with them, peace to reign, take this, take 5 tickets to come. You go to this. By the time you're done with all of them, your show becomes a mecca. Your show becomes a holy ground or United Nations area, as a green veg. On the day of your show, you're guaranteed that it's a good show because nobody's going to come and become mischievous by throwing bottles, isn't it? Now, when they come there during your show, and I repeat again, if one of them perhaps is a guitarist or is a painter or has good vocals or whatever it is, that because he has been in a space that has not allowed him to express himself, but now that we are in a green area, he now says, Yibo, I sabi single, I dey play guitar. I say, okay, now come now. Then we go back and meet the people too and say, oh, but your guy, they play guitar. And I get anybody with a drum. So by the time you now have access to those guys and they have access to you on a very correct atmosphere, the next time they meet as session men. Oh, give me C on that song. Oh, I want F, G, or C minor. That's how it is. With the same thing, with allowing the community understand that it is not by traveling to Walt Disney, or it's not by building Walt Disney in your village that is your tourism or your culture. No. Let us understand that what you have in your community, from the blue wakebo, like I said, to the guy who's fishing there, whoever, once you make them understand that. So it's been a journey with what we're doing now, letting the people understand that the COVID has shown that everybody's excuse is you can't cluster. Even when in Africa or in Nigeria, it is not as bad, but we have to conform to international best practices. After all, the companies and the people are also international. For some, is an excuse for them not to support. They go say, you're not gathering. But if you do not show how to grow this, and so the agency is, we already know what we want from what we know from the private sector. And it is even better because it's 23 LGAs. It is 16 ethnic groups. So even if I settle in only Gokana or Kana, right?
Yeah.
Even if we settle in only Walga or Boni or Pobo Nkoro, or even if we break it down to Eche, Obiakpo, Port Harcourt, even if we break it down to the senatorial zones, no matter how you look at it, we can guarantee at any given time over 200 to 260,000 job opportunities in the first stretch. Because, like jollof rice, they understand it. Like the creative space, they understand it. Our job is put them in front for them to do the performance. Then we bring everybody whose job it is that will add value to what the performer has done. So is it from the man who has this? Is it from the man who can climb something? By the time you put all of these things together, this is where the money is. So where's the cloud? We have friends, people, collaborators from South Africa right now. Their job is to create, and let's have a digital library. By those things that we cluster together, it forms our digital library of what is in Boni. So it's not just to dance. No. We do it deliberately.
Okay, but let me understand what you're saying to me, because I'm really very, very interested in this whole concept, because you and I love River State, we love Port Harcourt, we are tired of what is happening, and we want an economy that would look beyond oil. And that was the narrative of Seki in the first place, to change the narrative of the militancy in Niger Delta, right? Now, this is what I understand you say to me, that if I went to Gokana, for example, or you took a trip to go to Gokana or to Boni or to Ikwere or to Okrika or to Kalabari, for example, and we put up a show, not even a show, with what we have, the cultural performances that we have, you say from the cultural production that we have, we could have jobs in the process. And that job, how do we get the job? That aside from those people that are dancing and singing, we have other collaborators. We have people, for example, women that is selling moi moi or frying fish, people that are doing the costumes, people that are, painting the face of the dancers and all of that. So we've already created jobs from, our local or the locality. So things are moving. Even ordinarily when we play Black and Danger in Okrika, we know what happens. People are selling recharge card, people are selling akara, people are selling water, all the kind of things. So you're saying we'll take that out, and then we take that up, and then we have collaborators, for example, in the digital space in South Africa, for example, that now create a digital library to help us monetize the concept. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take some questions first, Yibs, and then we'll come back to that. Somebody says here, or comment, someone says, in all honesty, then and now it's not the same. Though those changed with securing us are now overwhelmed. So people are not as confident to go out now. That's what someone is saying. And another person says, Yibo, tell us a bit more about the Seki dance stuff. What have you done since the launch? How many states in Nigeria have you taken the dance? How many African countries or outside Africa have you been? What's happening now?
Okay, so let me take from the Reverend, from Reverend to everyone. I don't know who that is. Okay, so in view of the security challenges in Nigeria as a whole, and more specifically now to the Niger Delta, how would you encourage or promote tourism and culture and entertainment in such environments? That's okay, Sonny. And in all honesty, then and now, it's not the same. Yeah, so it's the same thing. So let us say that there was a time when Port Harcourt was bubbling with all of the boost, every time they like to say, even when they shoot it, every time in Port Harcourt, right? Okay, so let me give an example now. So before we talk about being overwhelmed by some people, I'm not from Borno State, but I'm a Nigerian. I'm not from Kaduna State, but I'm from Nigeria. I'm not from Zamfara State, I'm a Nigerian. I'm not from Kogi, I'm not from Plateau, right? And even if I served in Kano or I've been to Plateau, I've been to Kaduna or Kano, but that was about 30 years ago. So I've not been to those places. So when they talk about security or insecurity, as it affects Nigeria, so if the narrative is Kaduna State, we have 30, how many states, right? So,
36.
So if you manage the story wrongly, everybody assumes that what is happening up north is all over the country. So that is what the algorithm will show digitally, that Nigeria is not safe. But meanwhile, I'm here in Port Harcourt. I never hear gun sound anywhere, anyway. So I'm not saying that there's no insecurity. We all know that. But what I'm now saying is that going forward, by the time government struggles to get better or not to get better, because as far as we're concerned, we're not talking politics here.
Politics, no.
Yeah, so but what is happening is the world is here.
Yeah.
So I don't need to go to Zamfara. I don't need to go to Boni. I don't need to go to Kaduna. All I have to be deliberate is for you to see Kaduna inside here. It's for you to see Boni inside here. It's for you to see Port Harcourt inside here. It costs money to do that, but because these things are intangible, the same amount of money it will cost for you to be deliberate to do other things that have to do with structure. It's the same deliberate nature it has to do with this kind of stuff. So by the time you push these things out there deliberately again, what happens? The curiosity to want to come to the city or the village where these things are happening that we're selling out deliberately begins to happen. And then you also market that conversation. And like I said, you have to interact, collaborate, meet. So for security purposes, if I go meet guy, look, there's nowhere in the world. You have informants everywhere. I remember when we were in school, Shebi, in school, I was made a caretaker committee chairman of the Sudan Union government. And I remember when we had the Babangida family dialogue, I was made Sudan Union representative of, a spokesperson for all Nigerian universities in Nigeria. One of the things I learned during that period was dialoguing. And in conversations, don't use demand. Make requests, but firmly. And when you make requests firmly, you get what you want. When you make demands, it becomes confrontational. Right? So all of these things, there are ways about it. So even when there is insecurity, I don't want to say we should act like the ostrich and keep our heads inside our hole and breeze go they blow. No, that's not it. For everything, it must be deliberate. So for Reverend, who is talking about insecurity, right? Even as a Nigerian, we don't even we are not even proud to tell our stories. We like the worst part of ourselves. So even when 1% is bad, you tell 1% in such a way that it looks like it is 100%, and 99 is not deliberate about it. So the world sees 1%. So even when you go to Facebook in Port Harcourt here, no matter what is happening in terms of growth, there is a conversation about APC, PDP. This man, that man. Guys that are so intelligent, they will write epistles. So people are looking at to hear these juicy stories of their fights. And that creates a conversation on the track record of digital, track record of what is in River State. Those are the developments you now get. You behead this person, you come out this person pants, or you kill this person here, you do that. Or when you were doing, so that is the story that is there digitally for people to read about you. All the other good parts of you, nobody knows. And then somebody gets one story here. Oh, don't go to Garrison. They are shooting in Garrison. He sends it on a WhatsApp platform. It gets to America. Somebody from America is sending you a WhatsApp message. And you're in Garrison, you're not hearing a shot. They'll tell you they are shooting in Garrison. Now, that conversation digitally becomes a track record of information. Now, we see that in Garrison, they shoot every time. So that is what they see. When you base a lie on a fragment of an existing truth, you will do English is what? Hyperbole. And
yeah, but that doesn't mean to say that those things don't happen.
No. See, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. You know, they hear me.
I don't hear you.
My positive nature sometimes make people think that, people let's see them.
It's
AK-47 rifle. Yes, here. So look at it. My driver died. You want me to? I can pull my shirt for you. It grazed me here, entered here, and came out here. Right? If man no dying, no rotting. So I should come and kill I should continue talking about that gunshot. I've learned from it. That's what it is. I've learned from it. I won't put myself in that position anymore for anybody to come and shoot me because I went into the bank. So, but I can't stop my life. I can't stop. Every time you want to go abroad, the content that drives my business is in my backyard. I can't go to America and want to follow. I live in America. I want to come and talk about American culture. They don't have anyone to even show you, minus cowboys and Indians, isn't it? So what they're doing is that technologically, which is a culture, they're dealing with futuristic stories. That's their culture. That's their tradition now because they know it. So Africa is the place where people are coming to look for the authentic nature of content that is very traditional and cultural. If not Africa, Asia. And when you go there, check London and check the Scandinavian countries or check your places. So you see that the Viking stories, check, those are, that's where they're going on. Where's that, the Content of the Throne, what's that series, Game of Thrones, not be part of the culture, no matter how violent it is them telling the story. But we don't tell our story, our story, don't juju. Our playgrounds are, it's true now. So to answer Sonny again on Seki, if I have to back, why? What have we done with Seki? Seki stopped because after 16th of November, I think 16th or so of November, 2019, we had a collaboration with the US consulate to show the dance. They wanted to see the dance because we needed about 128 visas for people to travel. But because we had started conversation with what they had seen from CNN, that conversation allowed for us to meet in the war room for me to come and talk about the creative economy. So we had shown the spectacular nature of the dance. So they liked that. But now we're talking about, well, you can now go to the costuming. The Ibri is no more performance. So performance was what we needed to tickle their interest. And they said, okay, can we see the dance? So we went to Terra Culture to do the dance. And when they saw the dance, not just Chirogbo Market Square dance, no, they saw the dance in the Broadway standard, like what they showed me, Hamilton. The beauty of that dance. And we had the story that says the American tap dance is traced to our dance. So that story, we were deliberate with that conversation. And they saw what we were trying to say. We have scholars. I have Ovunda, who is a doctor, right? I have PhD holders in my as part of my cast. I have Hilda, my sister. I have notable professionals as part of my team. And these are people that can give lectures. So part of what we're doing with Seki last year was 11 states in America and 9 universities. The first university was Southern Illinois. We are working with the Professor in Chicago. The idea is that we're to do seminars and lectures on what we call Seki in colors and clatter. So while we're doing the small, so we'll do the Chirogo type, the one we do in the open arena, right, without lights, then we still perform Seki inside we're doing STEM recording. You know what it means to do STEM recording. STEM recording is over 7 to 10 million naira to do things from that perspective. So these are the things that we were ready to do. And to even align with us with the Dubai 2020 Expo. We had done all of those conversations and COVID came. So when COVID came, what did we start to do? We had to go back again because we had already captured in terms of motion and visual images. We have set images, isn't it? But the agency, we don't have. Our digital track record of our art forms are always scattered.
Yeah.
Not streamlined deliberately. Sometimes news media people will just come with camera. Maybe they will just come take one small thing, they will use them for their news feed. Yeah. They have not been deliberate. So our job is to be deliberate. So with Seki, we are deliberate. We don't put out things for you to see. Maybe I just come and dance, So after all, that there are better dancers in Okrika than I can. There are better dancers in the Kwere than I do. There are better dancers in Opobo. But because I'm the one dancing, and there's a way I do the dance, it attracts more conversation. And that's what it is. Oh yeah, I went to Oxford University, but I can dance. Don't you dance salsa? Don't you dance
we
salsa?
Do. Oh, yeah, now, Yibs, now our time is fast spent. Okay, now we've talked about the system, we've talked about the arts, we've talked about the concept of the creative economy. So there's somebody who's watching today that has something, that has a skill. For example, she can plait hair, she can, she can do so many things, or maybe somebody who has a talent, or so to speak. So how can someone understand her talent or his talent, and how can they monetize it? Now, I'm talking about how can the common man on the street tap into this consciousness of, if you understand it, you can monetize it.
So once you become responsible for your knowledge. That's key. And, going back to your question is, what are we doing as an agency to help what is happening? Today in Port Harcourt or in Rivers State, the government is working towards infrastructure, which is building of roads and, trying to make that happen, right? If you've not been in this state since 2019 or early 2020, if every work that is being done is finished at the end of the year or before the end of the year, when you come, you won't notice that people were once complaining about traffic because there's a fast track to development. So that is where we come in now. Some people say, I want to talk. I don't do politics, but I speak. So when they say there's no economic, I say no. Everything leads to economic value. So by the time we deliberately from the trade maker now, let's say that we're working on a heritage and a heritage. So let's go back to the carnival now. We want to create a heritage. I'm not going to copy Brazilian style, Caribbean style carnival. No, we're going to be deliberate with a traditional heritage carnival because that is where the Brazilians started from. So because we're going to be deliberate, it means that the lady who is going to make hair, we're going to look for her because then the environment, the atmosphere allows for ways of information. We're going to look for you. So if you're from your village, if you're from, not from Port Harcourt, but anywhere you are, there are programs dedicated and designed to fish you out, right? Because right now, there are people, you go and walk in the salon, or you can go and walk in the market. You know, you go town market. Even in my one, you have a lot of people doing all of those things. But how is that money sustainable to pay school fees of 100,000 naira on their own part? So we need to help ourselves because I can dance, right?
Yeah.
You know that. But like I said, there are better dancers in my community that have not seen and known how to use their dance to grow conversation. But even at that, all of these things I'm talking has allowed for people to meet me internationally. And I now know what this means. I know how many people are on, people that are watching. Some might disagree with me, but those that agree with me might look for you. I want to have this conversation. And if they ask me, so, boy, Mr. Koko, yeah, you were saying things. I said, sir, when it comes to the monetization processes, the framework is an intellectual property. For me to give it out to you, I like to know what we're going to get from getting you involved there. And if it has to do with the government of the day and to grow capacity, then I tell you that in Rivers State, we have the trade makers, we have the dancers, we have the drummers, we have the craftsmen, we have all of them here. Let us do a streamline. So Afrexim Bank is there. There are banks, even the African Development Bank, we have them there. I don't need to go to. So even the banks in Nigeria, they have monies that are readily available to give to the creative space. Because understanding how to get that money out of them beyond brick and mortar collateral, that is where the challenge is. And that is the challenge where the trade maker does not know how to push her information out together. And these are not small SMEs. I'm not talking about SMEs. No, I don't want to go there. These are deliberate collaborations to allow finances to come into the system to grow capacity through the creative space. So I don't know.
What have you done? So what are the practical steps that we're taking to do that?
So we have low-hanging fruits. I've said this before. So we have low-hanging, but the important thing is, like I said, people will say, oh, they talk too much. And some of them want me to castigate the government, that have put me there. So if you work for somebody, if it was a Seki, as you know, Seki, I have my team, right? So we know what to do. I don't have to. But when you're working in government, there's a level of bureaucracy and there are things that you need to do. And there are things that I have to do with priority. So while waiting for the switch over, our job is to constantly have this kind of conversations, making them know that what they have is an asset. If you understand it, then let us begin to say, we're going to now monetize it for you and give us time that our next phase is the monetization. But our current phase is to create the awareness for you to know that what you have is an asset.
Fantastic.
Because we're not patient. We want it no. If it's not now, no, nobody likes 1 year plan, 6 year plan. But we say, yeah, we want to patch a road. You can just do, that the medium, the levels of doing things. We can do things that will cushion the poverty, but where we're looking forward to the bigger picture of making you rich. Just be part of it, grow with us, support us, and then automatically, I'm saying it's not rocket science.
Yeah, right? It takes time.
That's what it is. People ask me, Seki, or every time I want to see Seki, do you know what I went? Seki started as an idea in 1997. Ibi, 1997, on Bonny Street. I remember Saki Banamo's house. That's where we were rehearsing. Before Chief Ebitumi Banigo sponsored it, then it was known as Owamaputi. We had that dance on the 27th of May, 1998. But after a while, then I was also for the performance. I didn't know the business part of it anyway.
Yeah.
So I was doing it for the fun. But after a while, I got exhausted. But if you're Sekebo of us, Heritage Bank, nothing. I went to his house for something else. In fact, for Nigeria's Got Talent, because I had a franchise. I went to see him to discuss how the bank was going to work with us. After lawn tennis playing, you know, we're eating akara and akara and bread and tea, you know, just a whole lot of there. They played, that was how it happened. They played biscuits, you know, cricket music.
Mm.
That was my sister, that was how this happened. As they were playing, they were dancing. I didn't want to show that I could dance. You know, I was just doing something. I know, no, you know me, I didn't just enter my head. Ibi. As I just bend down, be like say something enter my head. The man said, Yibo, you can dance. And you know what he said? What can you do with this dance now? We can promote our culture. It's dying. And I said to my man, Oga, I have something that is not dead that we can resurrect. And that's how Seki came up. So imagine how just that timing, that opportunity, I came for something else just because I danced. Then I've said I've learned a lot. I've been head of production for African Magic. So I've done a whole lot. So I now know the business part. And when we now partner with Heritage Bank, we said, look, spend the money. We went to a co-hotel. Quote me, 27 million naira was what in 2017 for the hall hire and all of those things there. We paid them cash, although they removed 7 million after I went to cry for the man, you know. But what happened was that because the dance was done in a co-hotel, because we had invitation, we did some spectacular runway, got lights and everything. And all of a sudden, it wasn't just the masquerade at the market square. There was something beautiful about it. And it was at the prestigious Eco Hotel. You might want to say, what of those we know get Eco Hotel? No, but you must be deliberate. If you partner, it will happen that way. And just because we went to a co-hotel to do that, and we
it became premium.
Thank you. So what I lost with the 27 million naira or other monies I would have pocketed, I gained from the popularity of the content and the beauty of our cultural art form. And that was how CNN came. So when they now said they wanted to see the dance, and I didn't have motion images properly. I had commissioned a still photographer, but I didn't commission a videographer properly. So we now did a performance at Terra Culture. And let me even tell you how it worked. With Terra Culture, when I went to see Bolanle Austin Peters, God bless that woman any day. But because when I was in head of production for African Magic, I had gone to see Saro, I had gone to see Waka. So I was already into what that woman was doing. Do you know what she advised me, Yibo? You know what we do? You know, don't use Yib's Ensemble, which of course you know Yib's Ensemble. No, let us do a brand identity conversation here. Use your name. You have a name. So what do you want? Terra Culture in partnership, or I said no. I was a Yibo Koko in collaboration with Bolanle Austin Peters. Seki dance drama at Terra Culture. She now used her system, God bless that woman any day, to now invite her own client. So when they saw the Seki thing, everybody, because she had done 2 already and they know her for productions, they knew that anything that she would do about theater was going to be good. And they all came from BBC to British Council. All of them came for that show. And one other thing that she told me again, we just our head does the question. She said, hey, Coco, you know, Yibo, that's how she comes. We have to do something. Let us be deliberate. Let's be deliberate. So we had a conversation and said we agreed. So the first show on Friday, we made it open only to our colleagues, those that have 200,000 followers on Instagram, those that have 1 million, we reached out to them for them to come for the show specifically, free of charge.
So those are digital currencies that you needed.
Yeah, thank you. Just come and watch. And what we said to them, why you do not record till the end, record as much as you can and put on your platform for us. And that was it. Why we did not make money again like Eco Hotel, the conversation about the art was key. And BBC now started dragging to have interview with us. CNN called me from Atlanta. They found my number.
So that was what the digital platform did for you. It changed the conversation and it put you on another level of things because you understood the power of technology.
And and now that we are now even compulsory to be more aware technologically, since we cannot cluster. And since, like Reverend is saying, is that there's a lot of insecurity. People are not going to do inbound tourism coming into. So what we can do is to be deliberate with what we put out for people to see as well. See, we like to drag ourselves down. And that's why I say, even go to Facebook. When YouTube came to Nigeria in 2019, I can send you the information. They came to Emeka Mba's space. So they had a place called Pop TV, Pop Central,
Pop
sorry.
TV, Pop
Central. So I was invited for sake of Seki again. So you see, I didn't have enough followers. Normally then I was about 3,000 followers on Instagram, I know they key into that part, but they called me. And as usual, Port Harcourt, so when they introduced me as the Seki, they had some Seki images there, and the lady got interested. So I said, why don't, I was ignorant of how they do the pop-up anyway. So I was talking about Port Harcourt. Oh yeah, I'm from Rivers State. No, Port Harcourt, I just make noise. Port Harcourt is Yuma just flipped her MacBook Pro. That 12-inch, 11-inch MacBook, I don't forget. She just flipped it open. And she was, I don't know what she did. The next question was that, do you live there? I said, why? Is there war going on there? I'm like, I don't know what this should check now. I said, no, Port Harcourt. So that means digitally, when they did the search engine, all I was saying was not there.
Yeah.
All I was saying wasn't there. So if they have to judge me by my town, I'm going to be zero.
Zero, because you didn't, because your profile was a violent profile.
Yeah, so that is why we also know that all of those things are just cosmetics. We know that we are better off than what we have there. So we must be deliberate to change this narrative. And I say this all the time, and I said this on my interview some days ago, that so if we are deliberate with that in our space, like what we want to do or we're doing with Seki, once we are that deliberate, that woman with the thread, her job is easy because everybody will know her and she's going to grow well from that. And that's what the agency is designed to do. And to make sure that we help the government. And who is the government? It's me and you, to help the state. Who is a member of the state? I'm a member of the state. And when I talk like this, they tell me, oh, your boy, they don't sort me what? I make dough from my backyard, from Peru, from Oguen, from area, that's what I do. So look at the Seki. So we have the Seki thing, right? So if you watch Avengers, Spider-Man, Thor, you have the doll baby or the effigies of those, right? Isn't it? Yeah, yes. So why don't we have Peru? Why don't we have Oguen? So when you look at it from the merchandising, monetization process, that's where the money is.
We have to have a structure. I think that the thing is, and thank God for what you're doing now, we need to have a system where we have to understand what we're all about, what our culture is all about. We can have merchandise. We can sell our Peru merchandise. We can sell Oguen merchandise. We can sell, even you two can have, this is your picture, that's the beautiful picture that you put at the end of the Seki dance. We can actually have it merchandised, yeah?
It's already, you the talk you can have. We don't have them already. Like I said, there are things that I will not say to you because those things are intellectual.
Yeah.
So
So
we've gone this.
Yeah, 1 hour plus is not enough to exhaust this conversation. And I have learned a lot. If you have any questions, please write the questions and Mr. Koko will be able to answer the questions for you. So, Mr. Koko, from what I hear you say to me, I've learned a lot today. I have learned that we should be careful that we should be deliberate about digital traffic.
Yes, of course.
Kind of things that we post out about ourselves. We should be careful. We should be deliberate about projecting ourselves in a positive light because those are our digital currencies. What happened to you when the YouTube guys came is very clear indication of what negative publicity can do to a franchise or to a person. Number two, that oil, we've been doing oil for a very long time. So you're saying to us, be patient. It takes time to raise the consciousness for us to understand what we have in order to monetize it. So the reason why the Agency for Development, for Tourism and Development is here is to put structure, a structure or a system in place where people can begin to tap into using what they have to get what they want. Absolutely. In literal sense. But then Absolutely. It takes time. It takes time for things to evolve. Is that what you're saying to me?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So this is what I said about Seki. I had an article done about Seki a few years ago because I was enthralled about it, and I told you that it is going to be very iconic. It's going to be as iconic as Ipitombi. I told you that, right? Or more, yeah. So I said, beyond the creeks and the mangrove forest, the restiveness and the gas flaring, the black gold and its attendant curse is a burst of color and rhythm that tells the story of the creative and positive streak of the people of the Niger Delta in Nigeria. Seki is a mythical dance drama that draws its strength from the oral traditions of the Niger Delta people, but also sets to challenge the narrative of violence and the crude oil dependent economy that has plagued them. And Yibs, I can say you've done a fantastic job at that. Before I go, I want to take just one more question. It says here, Yibo, can we have new content now and promote it online? And this feeds into your narrative of being deliberate. What should we expect or look forward to in the creative space in Rivers State, particularly, and Nigeria as a whole?
Reverend, again, thank you for the devil's advocate job here. Like I said, when you're working in a system where you have a boss, right? All you have to do is, as much as you can, see boss and let them see. If I was Seki, I know what I would do. I don't need anybody to do that. But like I said, there's so much that is going on in terms of growth in River State from the point of view of infrastructure that we are also, making sure. So one of the things that we have done or that we did last year that is still on is that we got a team of people. I don't want to call PwC or Ernst & Young, but we got professionals like Anderson, Cooper, whatever. We got people. Their job was to give us a roadmap to rejig the tourism economy of the 23 LDAs and the 26 ethnic groups of Rivers State, and to draw it in such a way that it brings money for us. And that's why we had, if you remember last year, this Business Day and This Day and Guardian, we had about 2 pages full of our revenue-based finance strategy of 100 billion naira for the creative economy in Rivers State. So that was our RBF for 100 billion naira going forward. So we have a roadmap. We have everything about what we want to do. It's already in place. And you make money from money, you know what I mean? And if you don't have the money to do certain things, even to monetize, you need certain things to do certain things. And because we are in the States, and we're talking about billions of naira or hundreds of millions of dollars in this space. You know, there's a way you talk about it. You need certain approvals to go forward, as opposed to when it is an individual thing. So yes, we have deliberate stuff we're doing. I can't say that here because again, it borders on intellectual property. And before you know, somebody don't go begin the drum. And even when they drum, you know, drum enough.
Drum well, yeah.
So yes, Reverend, we are. You will see. Ibinabo will be a part of our strategic, deliberate media conversation anyway. Probably I will call her next time to call me. And you get it. There are things we're working. We will unveil that. And, you know, let me just give you a tip of, since almost everybody wants the carnival to happen, you know, and I've said that. So we're working with ECOWAS, the Central African countries and East African countries. The idea is that if FESTAC happened in 77, right? So we are being deliberate in doing some of the most colorful, you know, things that will attract people, because we have an international airport already in Rivers State. I know you're going to say security, but the same thing applies to what I said about Uniport, right? You have
so to. You know that?
So, yeah, I'm just to tell you. But before you even do that, even if it is a 1 month deliberate conversation digital, you know you know the hashtags to go to, you know the handles to put things like that. And before you know it, all the bad story within they read regularly, go page 2, page 3. And when they get to like page 10, you don't want to bother your data to go to those, because the algorithm of the traffic of 1 to 5 is deliberate. Then they want to come themselves. And then when you have a shuttle, you have, so there are things that can be done. There are things that will be done. There are things that are being done. But like I said, we want it na. And because they are intangible, you're not seeing it. Don't worry, we want you to feel it. And part of what we're saying here is, let us have people have an open mind. Yes, skepticism is good, constructively good, but if it is total skepticism, that's when it is bad. So let's pause and ponder. When you're asking your questions, let us don't come always to find a bad one. Be sure, be aware that we already know the bad one, but we were not going to take the bad one to be talking, because that's what you want to point out all the time.
Yeah. Yibs, thank you very much. I have overshot my time. It was a very intellectual conversation for me. I learned a lot. And I'm sorry that I had to take you away from your mother's birthday.
Yeah, all right.
So guys, thank you very much for joining us today. If you're watching me for the first time and you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. My YouTube channel is Ibinabo Enebi. And I also have a website called onehumanity.com. There's interesting things that you can read. And I think I have to put up the article I did on Seki there as well. So guys, so we're going to update it and we're going to put it up. So guys, thank you very much. And if you like this video, please go to my YouTube channel, Ibinabo Enebi, like, subscribe, and share. And I'm going to see you again next time. So bye.